Hello everyone, I hope that all of you are doing well, and today we're going to talk about some tips and tricks for Fatal Fury. And the reason why we're going to do this is because I want to help you, to learn the game on a more quick pace, or maybe just get some wins, get those rank points going to help you with the grind of rank. I'm also on that grind. I've decided to play Terry. I'm already at like A5 or A4 rank, and I'm probably going to get S rank relatively soon. The only reason why I'm not higher is because I use a lot of time for the content instead of grinding rank. But I want to share, some key tips and tricks that maybe you're ignoring that could help you a lot to get a really high rank if you apply them. My first tip, and probably the most relevant one, is that this game has a list of like key sequences or interactions, resources, whatever you want to call them, that decide every fight. And if you don't worry about them simultaneously, if you don't deal with that mental stack that is present in the gameplay design of the game, you're probably going to lose rounds because of it. And this list is basically everything that you need to worry about simultaneously to win fights more consistently. And that is Rev Blow, anti-airs, wild punishes, DPs, counter hit special moves, and guard cancels. And if you don't worry about all of this at the same time while you fight, you're probably going to lose a fight or a round because the other guy is going to abuse the couple of resources that you're not worrying about. So for example, Rev Blow. How many fights have you lost because you did not think about Rev Blow when the other guy had SPG, and you did and not answer to it, or maybe you didn't have SPG and you have to play a very specific playstyle when someone has SPG and Rev Blow and you don't. So worry about Rev Blow. It's very strong and you need to know how to deal with it actively. You can't just ignore someone that has Rev Blow. You have to think about it all the time. If someone has SPG, he's gonna Rev Blow, probably. So think about it. Then you have anti-airs, how many fights have you lost because the other guy is doing anti-airs on your jump ins 24/7, or you are getting jump in all the time and you don't anti-air anything. Anti-airs are very strong in this game, and being in the air, even though the game has just defend in the air, you can technically block stuff in the air, it should be scary to jump. It shouldn't be such a free thing to jump on you or for the enemy to basically get jumped on by you. So you need to be worried about anti-airs both from your opponent if they are going to anti-air a lot, maybe play a more grounded game, and if the other guy is jumping in on you 24/7, get some anti-airs going because you can get full BMBs in this game with anti-airs, so don't forget about anti-airs. Then you also have wild punishes. There's a lot of fights that I have won and lost because I'm actually worried about punishing people for whiffing special moves, for whiffing buttons, and you need to do more wild punishes. They are very good. You get a ton of damage from wild punishes. They are very, very relevant in the game. And even though this is an advice that you need to probably use at a much higher rank, because you're not gonna lose fights because of wild punishes at the start, but later on you're gonna do. So worry about wild punishes and start practicing, basically punishing people with your big buttons when they are whiffing. It's very relevant and it's going to be very, very good later down the line on the high ranks. Then DPs, how many fights have you lost because you don't DP anything or the other guy DPs every single Oki situation? You need to worry about DPs, they are very good in this game. You have meterless reversals, so start worrying about it, okay? Then we have counter hit special moves. Some characters in this game have the most insane combo starters because of the counter hit special moves interactions. So if you're fighting a character that has access to that, or you're using one like Terry, you need to worry about it. If you're playing Terry, try to get counter hit special moves. They define rounds. And if you're fighting someone that plays Terry, for example, worry about that. Wait for their barn knuckle, wait for the crack shoot, anti-air those options, or even make them whiff and get a wild punish, So you need to think about those counter hit special moves. They're very good in this game. And finally, at the higher level, guard cancel. When you start fighting people that are very good at the game, you have to start worrying about the guard cancel. They're going to guard cancel some specific strings that they know you're going to do, and you're going to get punished very hard for using, automatic strengths or having a more automatic game plan. You need to adapt. So that is the first tip. All of those resources are key, and you need to deal with that universal mental stack that the game has to win more games consistently. Then tip number 2 is a more general gameplay tip, and that is that you should probably have a more matchup approach to how you play this game than maybe other modern fighting games. In this game, matchups change the pace and how a fight is played completely. If you fight, for example, a brawler and you're also playing a brawler, the game is probably going to be very fast-paced and chaotic. But if you are playing a brawler character or a Shoto-like character and you face a zoner, you should probably play slower and change or adapt your game plan a lot. So try to be a little more flexible when it comes to choosing in which way you approach a fight, depending on which character you're facing. The game changes so much and depending on the opponent, that you have to take this approach to get more wins. You can't just execute an automatic game plan for every single opponent. Like, you not only play, you know, your opponent as a person, but you also play the character in this game, and a lot of characters change the pace, you know, and the logic of fights completely depending on the matchup that you're facing. So think about the game on a matchup approach. It's going to help a lot. Then we have tip number 3, which is kind of like a mix of multiple tips, but they are all connected and they are technically the same. And that is that in this game, you need to learn a set of things for your character that are going to make the game much easier for you. And that is 1, learning a reliable plus unblock string to reset offense, or basically create fake pressure to bait reversals or DPs. A lot of like the gameplay loop on offense in this game is doing like a huge string that is plus unblock all the time, and the other guy guessing in which section there is a gap so they can maybe Rev Blow, do a super, do a DP. It's like a very typical situation in this game. So you need to learn a string with your character that has enough tools and resources to deal with that. And for example, you do a couple of normals, then a feint, and then an EX special move that is plus on block. And if you know that the guy is going to DP, then you do the feint and block. And then in that sense, you create this sort of offense sequence that it's a mental game for the other guy. And you can reset offense over and over if you play the mental game well. So develop that. Then connected to all of this also, learn a stable BNB or combo that you can use for almost all situations, you know, for jump-ins, for low confirms, for counter hit special moves, for wild punishes, because you shouldn't stress about combos now, maybe later down the line, but now you're trying to learn the fundamentals and the key resources and tools that are gonna make you in the game better, you know, overall, not only on your character. So you shouldn't like worry about combos that much. You should probably worry about other stuff. So try to standardize a BNB that you can use for most situations. And then you should also lab or learn the best moves your character has and abuse them. So for example, if you're playing Terry, you should learn how to use Crack Shoot, Burn Knuckle, and EX Fireball like to the best of the best that you can, because they are probably the best moves that Terry has, at least on the neutral, which is the hardest part of the game. Up close, the game can get much easier in my opinion. Then you should also, for example, compare to another character. If you're playing Tizoc, you should learn how to use his high attack, because Tizoc has this sort of like dodge high attack that can work as an anti-air, and is basically probably the best anti-air in the game, at least when it comes to dodge attacks. So if your character has, you know, a specific move or resource that is broken, that is super good, lab it out and see how you can abuse using that to win more matches. So that is tip number 3, you know, a mix of which things you should lab to get more wins with your character. And then we have the last tip, which is basically like a mix of a couple of stuff also. And the first thing is that you should probably try the whole roster in this game. Like, there's a ton of very fun characters in this game, but some of them are much easier to play and to also learn the game than others. So go to the mission section in the game and do the combo trials of every character. See if you like, you know, some moves, some basically interactions that they do, because it's going to be a much easier time for you to learn the game with a character that, one, you like, but also that is relatively easy and highly likely that has some sort of neutral control tool. You know, if you play this like full melee range characters like Gato, Kevin, Box, you're probably gonna have a tough time learning how to play the game. So try the whole roster and see if you like a character that maybe has a more like equilibrium when it comes to its archetype, so you can have an easier time. Try the whole roster and see which one you find fun. Also try to prioritize having fun. And the last thing connected to all of this is that you should try to keep a positive mindset with the game. This is not necessarily a very easy game. It's kind of hard to learn, at least to get really good at it. So worry about having fun while you learn. Don't stress too much about being the best player that you can be right away. Try to prioritize having fun, playing what you like, but also maybe playing something that is relatively easy, so you can have a mix of like accessibility with a ton of fun, because you don't need to get good at the game right away. You know, have fun first. You can get good at the game over time. This game is going to be out for a long time. There's going to be a lot of people playing it. So those are kind of like my tips and tricks to basically get better at the game as soon as you can, but also have fun with the game and rank up and get more wins, you know, get those wins and rank points going. So I hope that you enjoyed the video, guys, and see you on the next one.